Well, hello. Had a little bit of technical difficulties at the beginning. I thought we were going to be able to stream like like a real boy, but it turns out we're still Pinocchio. We're still just people pretending to be a streamer, which is fine. We'll get it figured out eventually. So yeah, I was trying all kinds of different things today. I'm trying a different camera, one that should be a better camera. Although that's not, anyway, complicated. Yeah, Tiger Wraith, it's complicated. The nitty gritty of it is, if I'm logged in, no matter whether I use John's stream key or not, it doesn't stream to his channel. It only streams to my channel, and nobody follows me because that's a thing. And so I have to log out to use John's stream key to get onto John's channel, but then I can't. I'm missing like 3/4 of the tools in OBS. So it's weird. If I understand it correctly, Chris Lewis is streaming from his login to John's channel, but I don't know. I can't make it work. This is the first time I've tried it again. I tried it back at the beginning, and it didn't work. So I just gave up and always stream logged out. But then I can't do things like I can't change the stream name, right? So that's why sometimes the stream name is like out, it doesn't make sense. It's left over from Saturday or something. But anyway, yeah. That being said, I've got my Nikon DSLR streaming as a webcam right now, which is kind of weird. Yeah, let me know if you have any luck. I mean, I don't know. I tried Googling it back when we first started this, and I couldn't find anything that was meaningful. And like I said, if I understood John and Chris properly, I mean, I'm doing everything Chris is doing, and his stream works just fine. So I don't know. Anyway, in the meantime, in celebration, we're going to do something here because, it's been a struggle dealing with this stuff today. And so I deserve a drink. Apparently. So yeah. If you come up with any miraculous solutions, I would be happy to understand them. Ilmarin, hello. Technically apple cider, but yeah. Mr. Tiger Wraith, you've got the right gist of it. Yeah, that's a coin from. I want to say we got that in 2017. I want to say, but I'm not, or maybe 2018. Yeah, absolutely, Party Bear. It's got the right stuff in it. So anyway, I just love apple cider. It's my favorite drink. For the longest time, for 22 years, I didn't drink alcohol for complicated reasons, but mostly having to do with a promise I made to somebody. And then once that somebody became old enough to understand social drinking, I was allowed to drink again. So anyway, my hat's off to all my daughters for being responsible, intelligent people, and hats off to me for setting a good example. And now I'm drinking cider, and it's fantastic. Tiger Wraith, I like that. But my favorite is a brand called Strongbow. It's just a little less sweet, a little more tart. And when I can get it, that's my favorite. Yeah, absolutely, Party Bear. It's honestly, cider's kind of like wine, but you can buy it in smaller quantities. All right, so the area that this camera focuses on is much smaller, so until I get a chance to tinker with it some more, maybe raise it up or something, you guys are going to have to yell at me when I get off camera, because it's going to be real easy to do. But yeah, so I think today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start working on these guys. Last week, I think it was Ilmarin helped me make the decision to go red with my torsos here. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going red with my torsos. That sounds like a poem or something. Red with my torso by the Discussion Club. Tiger Wraith, I'm so there with you, man. Hoppy beer is not my purview. Not my thing. So, I got my handy dandy Badger Chrome airbrush, which I love to use for primering, base coating, whatever you want to call it. This is my favorite. So this is my, actually I can do most things with this brush, most things. This is my original airbrush. This is my one of my very favorites. Then, I guess we'll just do this now. This is a present from the missus. This is an expensive airbrush. It's also one of my favorites, but it's finicky as bleep, and you have to know what you're doing. It's like a sensitive car with sensitive steering. Multi-beers. You know, I'm not sure I've ever had a multi-beer. When you get a chance, share like a name with me so I can give it a shot. That would be fun. So then I got this Sotar 2020, which this is the brush I recommend everybody buy. Okay, this brush is perfect for miniature painting, and it's fairly cheap. You know, Ilmarin, so I've been to Germany when I was in the Army, and I've been to a couple of German bars, and some of that beer, I don't think neutrinos could go through it, but it was good. I mean, this is one of them I likened to pancake batter. It was so thick. But yeah, so this is a fantastic intro level brush, and you can catch these from Ken, the president of Badger, who comes to things like ReaperCon. Tiger Wraith, glad I could make you laugh. I bought this for $60 in person, and he will occasionally have a sale early in the year around his birthday where they're even cheaper. It's like $1 per year he's been alive. I think he's going to be 56 this year or next year. So if you get a chance, I would definitely jump all over that. Then I have, this is a Vex. This is the Reaper airbrush. And to be honest with you, these airbrushes are kissing cousins. Whatever word you want to use for that, there's lots of ways. This basically, these are very, very similar airbrushes. Made by the same company, both made by Badger. Both really good. I have not used this one as much as I should. I should really drag this one out and do like a whole army with it or a whole force with it, but we'll see. And then somewhere, oh yeah, I've got an Iwata over here, but it's in the stripping solution. It's the trigger spring has gotten some goop in it, and I'm soaking it so it will loosen up before I take it apart to clean it. That one's technically my wife's, although honestly she doesn't airbrush very much, so I kind of really own it, if you know how that goes. October style, Oktoberfest. I've been to a couple of Oktoberfests. My oldest daughter, when she was in high school, did as part of her German language classes, participated for quite a while in those Oktoberfest dances. So she would go down to the local Gasthaus and like learn how to dance and travel to different Oktoberfest locally with the local German American Society and do things like that. So I've been to a few from in that perspective, but I've never actually drank any alcohol at an Oktoberfest, which I'm probably one of the few people that can say I've been to several and never had a drink at one. But anyway, that's just weird stuff from the life of me. Okay, so let's talk about some other stuff here. All right, so one of my favorite ways to paint is zenithal. All right, and again, I'm just showing you stuff I like to do. I'm not here to educate you. In fact, I probably am really good at doing the opposite, like draining intelligence out of your head. All right, so normally I like to zenithal. So I'll paint the guy black, paint him a little bit gray, paint him a little bit white. I think you all kind of know what this stuff is. And the reason for that, of course, is to pick up the natural highlights, right? So when I put paint over the top of this guy, this part's going to be much brighter than this part back here and this part down here. And so it's kind of a shortcut way to get some really quick highlights. But one of my favorite streamers, Kenny Boucher, who's runs a channel called Next Level Painting, has a really different way of approaching this sort of workup, right? So what he will do instead is he will just paint the thing kind of a gray, just something neutral, and then he will start with his shadow color, paint in the shadows. I got to remember, I got a much smaller window of exposure here. And then he'll go with his highlights. He'll paint this, mix these two together to get a mid-tone, and then he'll paint this as his upper level highlight. And then from there he's edge highlighting and maybe doing some little tiny tints of this red with some yellow or something like that in it, depending on where he's going. And I was watching him the other day, and he explained why he thinks this is a superior workup to this. By the way, this whole camera setup that I'm using today is all very new. It's the first time I've ever ran it on stream. So if you don't like it, if it's too bright, if it's choppy, if it's doing things that you don't like, for instance, one of the things it's doing is it's zoomed in really tight, and it's an actual DSLR, so I have to physically move it away, which I didn't get around to before we got on stream. So anyway, definitely critique that. I'm also I have a little fan running in the room because it's a little bit warm here today, and if it's too much, if you can hear it, let me know. If you can't hear it, let me know. I'll turn it up so I can have more fan. Thank you, Ilmarin. I appreciate it. So anyway, Kenny's way of doing this is to just work up from like a neutral color, which I've not actually primered these guys yet. But I'm going to here in just a minute, and then I'm going to try and get some of this down. I'm just going to experiment with it and see if it's everything that he seems to think it is. And I don't have any reason to think he won't. He is a fantastic painter. Like, if he would paint calves, it would be spectacular. But it's not his cup of tea. He's a 40K guy. I don't have anything against 40K. I love the models. Just not my favorite, I don't know, maybe community. Thank you very much, Tiger Wraith. I'm going to turn it up right now. We'll see how far we can go. All right, here's level 2 with the fan. Get out some paper towels. So this is that's black. So this is another Badger product. This is my primer of choice, Steinel Riz. I love it. I've just decanted a little bit of it off into a small paint bottle and put some metal bits in here in the bottom so I can vortex shaker it up when it needs it. Here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and one to grow on. All right. Now, it's not my favorite thing to primer gray over gray models. It seems like, I don't know, there's just something inherently in there that makes me go, I'm doing nothing. But that's what we're here to do today. Oh, yeah. Need somebody to hold this thing. What am I going to do for that tiny little base? I don't think that's going to work. Maybe this thing will work. Oh, so I hope everybody's doing good. I feel rejuvenated after all the CavCon stuff. I know I was when I first came back, I was a little bit burned out on painting because I had done so much of it. Let's see if this thing is going to cooperate with me. And so I took a little bit more than a week off, other than that initial stream when I just vamped. I just worked on these guys with an X-Acto knife for a while. But yeah, I'm starting to get back into it. I'm starting to think about it. Like I said, I've got this guy, the Mad Dog's Simba modification that I need to commit to a paint scheme for. And probably what's going to happen is I'm going to just come up here one day and go, I'm tired of dilly-dallying. I'm just going to spray some paint on it and see how it goes. I should probably remove some more of these mold lines first, man. I don't know if you guys can see this. Mold lines are my nemesis. Like, me and them are enemies from a long time ago. All right. Again, I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but right here is this ugly mold line that somehow I managed to overlook. So, yeah, and right all the way down there. So I got some more work to do before this guy gets paint, but yeah, that's my Mad Dog. Mad Dog being my pilot name that John gave me a long time ago for no apparent reason. All right, get a little spray going, test it to make sure it works well. Get my, oh man, water. Did I actually come over here to paint without getting water? I'm so bad at this. That's ISO. I don't need ISO. Is that water? Water! I've been saved. Alright, got me some water. Makeup brush. Don't ever let the people in your lives that use makeup brushes, never let them throw them away. Always demand right of first refusal so you can look at them and see if they have any application, because this thing is about perfect for cleaning out in between these horns on this needle protector. Alright, here we go. I'm going to paint a color you cannot see. I'm going to try. My airbrush will cooperate with me. Get this on the screen. Yep. I mean, it is a different gray, and it has a different tone to it. It's a little madder than the plastic. But man, I almost want to paint this thing black first. BA, 1 bucket. I don't know what BA means, but yeah, airbrush or makeup brushes are cheap. But when it comes to some things, I'm even cheaper. I am not letting a makeup brush that has valiantly served our family for, I don't know, at least an hour, go in the trash can. It's going to come into the miniature room and fulfill its destiny. I really should have painted these guys black first. It's super hard to tell where I painted and where I haven't. Oh no. God, I love this Reaper model. Okay, so let's talk about stuffs, Mr. Tiger Wraith. So I'm still not sure what you're trying to tell me. I mean, you're telling me you're not going to save them from the trash can? You're going to go buy them at Dollar Tree? No, save them. They can live again. We can make them faster, stronger. The $6 million man air makeup brush. Get that off of there. All right. All right. I think there's some gray paint on that guy. I don't know. Hard to tell. Ilmarin, God, you poor guy. I mean, I first of all, yeah, Ilmarin, I totally sympathize with you, because it's really hard to tell where I painted and where I haven't, because they're almost the same color. Tiger Wraith, you made a comment about a bucket Dollar Tree. So I wasn't sure what you meant exactly. That's a great tip. But rather than spending $1, I'm just stealing them from my daughters. Every time they go to throw them away, I'm like, no. That brush must live on. I'm like the Dr. Frankenstein of makeup brushes. I just hook it up to a little rejuvenator and pump some electricity into it, and I've got the monster ready to go. I say that, my wife and I. Yeah. I mean, I love that gray. Yeah. Makeup brushes are. There's a world of potential in makeup brushes, and they're not expensive. They're not expensive at all. Yeah. And you're right. Gray is a fantastic color. I mean, painting a miniature gray is actually in my opinion, like a really good choice. One of my favorite paint schemes from my old War Machine and Hordes days was I had pink Cawdor with gray highlights, gray accents. I've got a couple of Conquests downstairs that are mostly finished. I was a very slow painter back then too. And that gray and the pink just looked, I thought they looked great together. Those are my pre-airbrush days. Yeah. I have to spray it on my hand to make sure it's still doing anything. Yeah, look, a mold line. Oh my gosh. Why did you guys let me paint this without taking the mold lines off? I'm blaming Party Bear. If you're out there, this is on you. It's not really. Okay, mold line. Where did you go, little mold line? Come out, wherever you are. Come out, wherever you are. So this week, yeah, Party Bear. All your fault, buddy, and you'll do it again. You're going to be a bad guy, just own it, right? Just admit your villainy and get in there and be the villain. Because gosh knows we need more villains. Actually, we do. It's the villains that are so much fun. Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm sure John and I will talk a little bit about that this week. And John will say something like, it's not good enough. Yeah, that makes sense. Painted over plenty. Yeah, well, me too, to be honest with you. Because after a while, I just get to the point where I don't care anymore. I'm like, you know what? I am never going to get all the mold lines off this model. Over here on my wife's desk is a Maldrakar, which is that gigantic 5-headed dragon that Reaper makes. And so we've primered that thing and then gone back to take mold lines off of it at least 3 or 4 times now. And it's in that condition right now. It's ready to be reprimered so we can discover the next level of mold lines. Oh my god. Just terrible. But yeah, so Falcon and Winter Soldier. This is going to be the positive version of Falcon and Winter Soldier, unlike what's going to happen Wednesday when John gets a chance to talk about it. Party Bear, as much as I love that style of plastic, they are a pain in the beanie to remove mold lines from. I mean, they're just, and I don't know what it is. It's because it's soft. You can't really scrape it. You can't file it because it chews up the material around it. So you're kind of reduced to only using an X-Acto, and it just never matters how careful I am. There are always mold lines. I would really like to see... I've seen some people win awards for painting the Maldrakar miniature. Back before I knew, what the material was like. I would really love to look at those award-winning Maldrakars and look for mold lines and see just how much effort they put in to take those off. All right, how are we doing here? Let me look. Mold lines? Maybe right there. Maybe. I'll be honest with you. It's to the point where if there was like a service, like a person who did mold line removal for some models, right? I wouldn't do it for every model, but like this Maldrakar, I would pay somebody $50 to take off all the mold lines. I'd expect it to be really good job, but I would pay somebody $50 to take off all the mold lines just to save me the trouble. All right. Well, let's hope that was the last mold line. So Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know if any of you are watching it, but that scene where Baron Zemo is dancing in the club in Madripoor, I just love. So Tiger Wraith, I have looked at that mold line scraper, and first of all, isn't it like $35 or something? Second of all, does it really work better than a $8 X-Acto? Come on, Tiger, tell us what it's like. Gosh. More mold lines. So Party Bear, they were not. John, I don't know if you were around last week. John announced. Wow, that's a great deal, Tiger Wraith. Party Bear minis. So the scrapers work great for rigid polystyrene. So your GW stuff, right? Tiger Wraith, do you have success on the slightly softer material like what we get in Cav, or the really soft material like the bones, the Reaper bones stuff? Interesting. And so Party Bear, they were not the painting contest winners were not announced. Here's the story. I don't know if you caught the Wednesday stream last week, but John's laser cutter decided after the first few well, I don't know the exact details, but before John could complete the CavCon orders, it decided to go and require some time at the spa. It demanded a vacation. It put in for emergency leave, and it said, I need some servicing. And so John has been dealing with that dilemma, so he can get his MDF cutter back up. I think that's probably going to be back up certainly this week, possibly tomorrow. And you know how John is, there's no such thing as a small solution. So I don't think we'll have this problem again. John has ensured that there will always be another way to take care of that. I said all that to say, judging the painting contest winners, I think, has been delayed slightly while John dealt with the critical shipping issue problems, I think. Obviously, he should be on tomorrow. And if you get a chance, you could ask him that question directly, but I'm pretty sure that's the gist of it. That's what he said last week. I'm just going to call that good. I think I'm chasing the devil at this point. So now we need to clean out our airbrush and get over to some red. I want to paint some colors. All right, let's get some alcohol down here to clean out my thing. All right, so Tiger Wraith, I missed the IDU thing. IDU, you have used it on the other kinds of plastic. I'm not sure what you've done, or maybe you're getting married and you accidentally typed your lines into the Twitch chat while you were at the altar. Is that possible? Because that would be ridiculously cool in my books. I feel like, what the heck? What's going on here? Suddenly I'm spraying stuff everywhere. Okay, yeah. Tiger Wraith, when you finally get to streaming on a regular basis, that's one of the things I would love to check out. I would love to see you demonstrate some of the uses for that thing with the softer plastics, because honestly that's why I have not bought one. It's just doesn't. I'm under the impression it's really made for models I don't really buy. Like the GW style plastics. I haven't bought any of those in quite a while. It's not to say that I don't own a bunch of them, but thin sanding strips. Man. So do you find yourself going back time and again, Tiger Wraith, when you're like painting or primering? Do you discover mold lines after the fact? How thorough, how much work are you putting into getting rid of the mold lines before you ever get to paint? Because I know a couple of people that are just like insane about that, but they take forever to prep models to the point where I'm like, I'm not sure I have that much patience. Get this little tiny bit of stuff out of the cup of my airbrush. It's got a little tiny clump of crap I don't want to go down in the needle. Apparently this primer is a little chunkier than I gave it credit for. on just one model sometimes, Tiger Wraith? I mean, not complaining or anything, just trying to make sure I understand what you're telling me. So you're painting up a single Spartan and you're giving it 30 minutes worth of cleaning? Because that's dedication right there, buddy. I'm telling you, that is some dedication. All right, so let's get this thing over here. Get some paint. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Call it 6. That's probably good enough. Well, Mr. Wraith. You're the leader in the clubhouse for the amount of time spent preparing your models. All right. So, this is where I'm going to start out with these red rock models. Now, this is a Vallejo color. It's called mahogany because mahogany is the perfect color for painting red. So the idea with red, at least from what I've learned, is that this color needs to be my highest highlight because I don't want to make pink and I don't want to make orange, and there's really no other way to highlight red that I'm super familiar with other than to turn it pink or orange, and you can get some good effects with that. That's not where I'm going. And so what I have to do is, to make the highlight look really bright, I have to make the shadows really dark, so I get a huge amount of contrast. So that's my goal here, is to try and get a huge amount of separation. So that's kind of what we're looking at right there. All right. See what we can do here. And now, I kind of wanted to go in and watch Kenny's video again one more time before I came on the stream tonight, just to make sure I knew all the little ins and outs of how he does things. But I failed to do so. I got busy talking to my insurance agent of all things. So we're just going to wing it. I'm going to paint this whole guy red. I'm going to try and... All right, so let me put this up so I can point. So even though I'm gonna paint this whole guy this red color right here, I'm still going to try and go a little light when I'm coming from this angle and a little heavier when I'm coming underneath the model, because I want the shadows to be the darkest, right? So I want the undersides of surfaces to be a stronger version of this color, and the upper surfaces to have, a little bit of transparency, a little bit of lightness to them if I can get it. So like I said, I'm going to go heavier here and lighter here with the idea that I'm just going to build up on top of those to this color. All right. Shut up and do some painting. Can we see? Now I'm still trying to build up thin layers. That's the whole advantage of the airbrush, is it's got the ability to layer on paint very thinly, and so I'm not going in and spraying a thick coat of any kind. Where I want the color to be darker, I'll just go in and put on an extra, multiple extra layers until I get the tone that I really want. Man, this mahogany is a fantastic color. I love it. Kind of a bricky red. Just has so many uses. Insert obligatory complaint about having to paint underneath a camera and how that makes your life several orders of magnitude harder than it probably would normally be. See if I can get a little bit closer here. So this Thursday is the Big Stompy Podcast, every third Thursday of the month. And so in case you don't know what that is by any chance, it's we used to have an old podcast, just traditional audio-only podcast that Ross Hines and I did for Cav. for about a year. And John convinced us to bring it back on the Twitch stream. So you'll see me chatting and other people like Tiger Wraith here and Master Guns and Ross Hines get on and share their ideas and thoughts and whatnot. And I think what we are going to do this month is we're going to go back in and we're going to talk about the Capcom battle between Tiger Wraith and Master Guns, the one that John streamed on the Twitch channel. So what's going to happen is those guys, the people that fought it, are going to talk about kind of give you an after-action report. Here's what happened. Here's what I think could have changed. This was a pivotal role. So if you get a chance, you might want to slide back over and just watch that hour or two's worth of get a chance to go over and look at that stream, so you can kind of have a sense of what happened, and you can throw questions up in the chat, talk to those guys, because Todd and Hugh are both veteran Cav players, and they have insights and ideas that honestly I admire a lot. I'm always open. Anytime those guys want to talk about how to play Cav, I'm going to listen. And additionally, Ross Hines is going to give some color commentary. He's going to go Tony Romo on everybody and sort of break down what he thinks happened and what could have happened differently, maybe how things could have bounced a different way, maybe a different approach. It'll be interesting. I'll be there to sort of moderate and occasionally throw in a really bad take because I've been practicing. But yeah, if you get a chance, tune in 8 p.m. Central Standard Time Thursday night for the Big Stompy podcast, where you. So this is one thing. Let's back up real quick. On Cthulhu, I'm gonna get back to your comment about base coding here in just a second. So one of the things I love about the games that have, how can I put this, sort of a more developed meta / community / competitive play style is that if you're into that game, or even just into the people that are playing that game, or some combination thereof, you can really dive deep into what's going on. So you can there'll be several podcasts, for instance, that break down 40K tournaments and metas and what people are doing. And so if you're into that thing, if you like 40K, there's an endless amount of opportunity for you to hear people's analysis, people's takes on what really good players are doing in that system. And it's fine. 40K is not my favorite game, but I really love the fact that their community is so well-rounded and so deep. Unfortunately, we don't have that yet here in Cav. There's not a whole lot of that stuff going on, and I really wish it was. This is your chance to finally get a shot at that. You got two people that really know what they're doing, that know how to play, know how to design forces, know the rules, who are going to go through a battle that they fought and break it down for you and tell you what happened and how they might have changed it, what they wish they'd done differently. And on top of that, we're going to have another fantastic player, Mr. Ross Hines, who's going to chime in, who's going to give his commentary. Did we lose who? What? Who did we lose? I'm still here. I think I'm still here. Am I still here? My camera seems like it's going. Hold on a second. Sure, I just typed in chat. Can you guys hear or see me? I think I'm streaming. Video's paused. Really? It's not paused on my end. How bizarre. Hold on a second. So Cthulhu and Ilmarin, you can still see me? Alright, Tiger Wraith, for once I'm going to say it's on you. That's what I get for singing your praises. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. I was getting ready to freak out. I'm like, normally when I lose the video signal, I can see it here. I can see that there's nothing happening. Anyway, so, if you get a chance, tune in, ask questions, get a chance to hear, people talk about a game like in detail, to get into the nitty gritty of it, to really look at, how things turned out and why they turned out that way. It's the kind of thing I wish that our community had a ton more of. And when we finally get there, I'm going to be super happy. Sorry about that, Tiger Wraith. But yeah, that's what's going on there. And obviously, Tiger Wraith will be one of the guys that you get a chance to query about how things worked out for him. I said John should be on tomorrow night with his. I think he got away from Terrain Tuesday. I'm not sure what he's going to do tomorrow, but I'm sure it'll be interesting. And if nothing else, he will field questions. Those of you who if you get a chance, ask him fluff questions. Try and pin him down on something. Ask him, what kind of pizza do the Rock like, or something along those lines. We need to get John to say things about fluff so that we can squeeze some kind of juice out of this lemon. I was just talking about, Tiger Wraith, how you and Todd are going to break down your game on Thursday during the Big Stompy podcast. At least I think that's what we agreed to do. And you get a chance to hear what two people that actually know how to play the game think about how that game came out. I'm excited for that. I hope everybody else is too. Ah, come on, you dumb hairbrush. Work with me here. Well, all right. I mean, I'm not sure I would agree with that completely, but you can tell us where things went south for you, how you might have been able to do things differently. I know, we got to go back and address Mr. Cthulhu, who says, I have that habit of base coating my minis in one thick base color instead of multiple layers. Well, Cthulhu, I have seen your work, and honestly, you're a fine painter. You're an excellent painter. And so I hesitate to say to you anything about your style because it works. But I am going to say something about your style. I think you'll find that multiple thin layers are almost always the right way to go. You can always get a thick layer by putting on multiple thin layers. Now, again, you're a very successful painter, so I'm not here to tell you how to do anything. I'm just telling you, I think thin layers are superior to thick layers in general. I think. For instance, with the airbrush, there have been times when I have been airbrushing a model and decided I didn't like the way it came out, and I didn't have to strip it. Once I realized I didn't like it, I just took the primer back out and primered right back over the top of it, and it came out just fine in the end because the airbrush is so... Cthulhu! Are you just trying to... You're just pulling my chain now, right? Surely you're kidding. Don't thin your... Cthulhu! Oh my god. Those are fighting words, Cthulhu. Come on now. I'm sure you'll kick my butt. We're gonna have to duke it out over that now. You got to thin your paints. Oh my gosh. Gosh, no thinning of the paints. It's like stumbling into a horror story. All right. Maybe the contrast paints will get away with that. And if you were painting, so like right here, this is actually an airbrush color. So this is made to go through the airbrush. Now, to be honest with you, I thin airbrush paints for use in the airbrush almost every time. But if you were painting with a brush with this stuff, I'd be okay with that because this stuff is pre-thinned pretty nicely. In fact, before I ever owned an airbrush, I would buy these model air paints just because I knew they were already pretty thin and easy to work with a brush. But man, if you're using something like this and you're never thinning it, this is a Reaper MSP paint, HD paint. I think there are some tricks to paint, some painting tricks that you still have to learn. Ilmarin, I'm with you. Thin pretty much everything. There are a few things that you don't have to thin. I don't have them at hand, but inks, generally speaking, inks I can paint without thinning. There are a few of the golden colors that are made for the airbrush that I can sometimes paint without thinning, but there's just a lot of effects that you get when you thin your paints. that I think are worth checking out. And Cthulhu, here's the thing, right? Cthulhu, you're easily a top-notch painter, easily. And if you're not leveraging those tools, the thinning of paints to your advantage, you're missing out, buddy. You could get way better really quick. Party Bear, I agree with you. There are a few times when a thicker paint is good, and especially with dry brushing. Yeah, Cthulhu. Cthulhu. All right now. I'm telling you, there's an easy level up, all right? All you have to do is go turn in this quest item, and your character is going to get to go ding, and all the other people in the painting team are going to go woot, grats, and you're going to level up your painting, and you're going to look back at yourself and go, I was a bad boy. Or maybe not, I don't know. Sorry. I watched, my wife and I watched Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein's monster over the weekend. We rented that off Amazon because we were just in a mood. And it was fantastically hokey. Oh my God, it was awesome. I loved it. I had a good time with that show. We kind of cleaned on the miniature room while we listened to it. It was pretty sweet. Got things a little better organized. Hopefully. Yeah, there we go. Alright, this guy's just about where I want him. I'm going to build up these under layers just a little bit. So Tamiya. I've heard you mention Tamiya before. And that's something I've never really painted with. I understand they use a non-water medium. I don't know what you have to thin them with. I'd be curious to see how those come out. Man, you have a little bit of everything. Yeah, Cthulhu, I mean, again, I genuinely have a ton of respect for you and your painting ability. So I'm not really trying to knock you. This is more of a buddy just picking on the other guy. You know, one buddy picking on another buddy. I mean, you're a fantastic painter. So when I say that you know, those are fighting words, obviously I don't really mean it because I don't want to get beat up. But yeah, I think there are some opportunities you're missing by not thinning your paints. But again, you're probably using contrasts and washes, so maybe just that's where your thinned paints are. It's just in the contrast paints in the washes. Or I don't know, maybe you don't even use those. I read a Facebook post once, and on the tiny 1 in a trillion chance that person that made this Facebook post is in this channel, 1 in a trillion, my apologies. But somebody had gotten on Facebook and asked for airbrushing advice about how to manage their paints, how to thin them. And somebody posted that they took regular Reaper paints right out of the bottle and airbrushed with them through their airbrush, which you can do, but they went on to say, and they never had a clog. Never. That person was lying. And I wanted to say something, but it's just not in my nature to call somebody a liar unless I have physical evidence. And I didn't. Maybe they can do it. Maybe they're like the Wayne Gretzky of painting. But man, they lied with their beanies that day. And it stuck with me so hard because I'm like, I mean, they were just emphatic. No, straight from the bottle, not mixed, never a clog, not even once. I'm like, BS. I'm calling BS. I still got paint, yeah, a little bit. All right, that's good enough for that guy for now. Alcohol base, yeah. So I've got a couple of paints that are alcohol based that I've only tinkered with a little tiny bit. I picked them up, you know, at a local historical shop. But I've never really used them very much. They were just, you know, I hate going in a store and not buying something. Especially like a hobby shop. Walmart's one thing. Those people make too much money for me to worry about them. But, you know, I walk into the local hobby shop and it's a tiny place with a niche audience and dusty products on the shelves. And I'm like, I got to buy something. And so I was in this guy's military shop full of Osprey books and Napoleonic busts and things like that. And I'm like, well, there's not a lot here that I'm into. But he had some paints. So I I picked them up just so I could, let the guy make a little bit of money. Because I just hate going to a store and not buying something. That's why I hate stopping at yard sales. Because, I feel like I got to find something to buy, and then I end up with this weird stuff. Like, why do I have a broken orange juicer? I don't know. I couldn't find anything else I wanted to buy, so I bought it. That being said, I also love it when people have their kids selling cookies and lemonade, because then I just buy some cookies and lemonade and it'll feel bad. But when you get into those yard sales where that's not the case, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to buy this, like cassette tape of the Rolling Stones from, back in the day. So you're base coating with the Tamiya stuff? Is that what you're saying, Tiger Wraith? That's interesting. So you're just brushing it on? Is that what your strategy is? You're just brushing on this Tamiya paint as your primer? Or have you primered and this is just your first layer of paint? I'm trying to get into your head, Tiger Wraith. Talk to me. Yes and yep. Wow, okay. Man, we need a hobby together someday, Tiger Wraith. I don't know when we're going to be in the same room again, but I would really love to just sit down and just straight up work on models so I could... Basically, I wish you were running this stream and I was in the chat watching you do things, because I feel like I could learn some stuff. I've never messed with those Tamiya paints. But I know a store that's got probably 800 of them. All different. I posted a video of it at one point in time. They literally had 16 feet of Tamiya paints. I've heard good stuff about Tamiya smoke. There's a color, I feel like it's kind of a Nuln oil or something. It's some sort of a dirty wash kind of color. Have you ever heard of that? Really? The Tamiya paints are cheaper. I've never really been interested in buying them, so I've never actually checked out their price. But you're telling me they're cheaper than Reaper? You've got this smoke. Do you have anything you've used it on? What's it like? Is it a wash or a liner or just a color? What is it? This is the Tiger Wraith and JS Twitch show tonight, folks. Just welcome aboard. Please extinguish all your smoking materials. Fully, raise up your seat trays and make sure your seatbelt is fastened. We'll be cruising along at Tamiya altitudes today, talking about stuff. All right, so far my experience here is that I'm really just using the mahogany as the primer, because it's basically going everywhere, which is good because I want it to be the shadows. And so when I come in, I'm going to be with this red. I'm going to be much more finicky about where I spray it, and so I need to make sure that the shadow, all the little, this bit right here. I don't know if you can make it out. There's some gray right there. I need to make sure that's all covered up so that my shadows are solid. Am I running out of paint almost? Wow. You need to stream for us, Mr. Wraith. I would tune into your channel. I want to see some of these tricks you have up your sleeve. Cthulhu. You should stream too. I want to watch you put paint on with a roller. It's just me picking on you, buddy. I love you. You're a wonderful person. 16, or was it more? Was it 24 feet of zombies? That's what Cthulhu's famous for. Maybe it was 32 feet of zombies. I can't remember. It was a lot of zombies. Oh man, look, it's 9 o'clock. Crime and Italy. Yes, Cthulhu. That's how I ever first encountered Mr. Cthulhu. It was a local convention here, and he and his brother were running, maybe some other people. I didn't know them at the time. Who would have ever guessed? All right. They were running this just ridiculously giant zombie miniature game, fully terrained. It was at least 3 8-foot tables long and a couple of 2 or 3 of them wide. It was insane. It was the biggest layout I'd ever seen for a non-historical game, and it was a hoot. He had like giant Godzilla style models and zombies and cars and Shaggy and Scooby. It was crazy. You should get him to tell you about it some days. Cthulhu's full of great ideas. All right, Cthulhu. I have to ask a question. Which one of you is it that got the tattoo this week? I get you and your brother confused on Facebook because, especially when there's no picture, like a face, and I'm like, okay, whose account is this? Is this Cthulhu, or is this the other Cthulhu? 1,600. Oh my gosh, that is a lot of zombies. Okay. Now I got it straight. The Altered Carbon Couple. It's their new name. The Altered Carbon Couple. I'm going to spray out the rest of this paint before I sign off tonight. Do the usual, tomorrow night is John talking, doing stuff. I used to play Warhammer Fantasy with large zombie blocks. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a game of, you can bring a lot of models to Warhammer Fantasy. Oh my goodness. Back in the day, we played some Warhammer Fantasy, and there were some people that played skeletons, and they were just like, I don't have enough skeletons, as they unloaded a bucket of skeletons. Anyway, fine game. Had a great time. So John's going to be on tomorrow. I really encourage everybody here to get on and pump him for fluff questions. Get him to tell you about famous cab pilots. Have him name somebody for you besides Drake and Dana. Drake Beer, by the way. Let's not forget, lest we forget. Good old General Drake and his famous beer from the Cav universe. And of course Dana Murphy, who's amongst other things, our Discord bot. They're the only famous Cav pilots I know of. I think there is at least one more in the A to E section of the fluff, but I can't remember if he's named or not. So yeah, what we need to do is we need people to get John to answer fluff questions so we can write them down and hold him accountable for this fluff. We want to siphon out all of his knowledge as much as we can. So if every stream we can get him to tell us like one good paragraph of fluff, the next thing you know, we'll have more than we currently have. It's my clever strategy. All right, that's going to be good enough for tonight. All right. So, Tuesday, come and hang out with John. John will tell you things. He will make you happy. He will make you smile. He will tell you about his latest project and all the troubles he's having with laser cutters and just everything. Get him to talk. He needs your peoples. And then Wednesday, me and John talking. I don't know. John never has a subject. We're just going to wing stuff. So if you have something you want to talk about, post it in Discord. Come and hang out with us. Just bring it up. The airspeed velocity of a laden, dictator. Whatever it is you want to talk about. But especially fluff. We're going to try and get John to talk about fluff as much as possible. Thursday night is a different kind of show. Big Stompy Podcast. It's run by a person with a different mentality. One that actually likes to kind of try and come up with a plan ahead of time. I don't know who that could be. Maybe his name is Old. But come and hang out with us on Thursday for the Big Stompy Podcast. Tiger Wraith and Master Guns are going to analyze their game. They're going to give you a breakdown, talk to you about what worked, what didn't work, what they could have done differently, give you a chance to ask questions. Ross is going to chime in. Ross is also a fantastic player. You're going to get the opportunity to finally hear some high-level tactical cav talk. I mean, John does it when he talks about the rules and he teaches people and he does these learn-to-play things. But these are people that are actually out to beat one another, right? So they have this in mind. They have a goal. They have a strategy. They know how to do it. Between those three people, certainly between Master Guns and Ross, there are multiple CavCon winning players there. And I don't know, because Hugh's been around way longer than me. I don't know what his credentials are, but I have played him, and I know he brings the pain. All right, don't let him tell you anything else. He knows how to play too. So come on Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Listen to people who know what they're doing. Talk about Cav. Saturday with Chris Lewis, a person who definitely knows how to sculpt. If you like Cav models, you probably like Chris Lewis and his talents. Come and join us there. Okay. I really appreciate you all hanging out with me. I know you get tired of me saying this. Just, I really want everybody to make the world a little better. Tiger Wraith, that's my strategy. Tiger Wraith, my whole strategy is to roll sixes. That's it. I come to the table to roll sixes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, be good to one another. Be good to the people around you. Make somebody smile, even if it's just you. The world will be a little bit better place for it. I really appreciate you guys. I look forward to seeing you. I'll probably hang out tomorrow night for a little while, and then I'll see you for sure on Wednesday and Thursday. Peace.